you'll see some recycled items, as in buttons, and in mostly on the inside. There's some lace trim here, there's some coffee dyed ribbon here, I have some recycled tissue paper, and then I doodled throughout the project with my Uniball signal pen. I draw flowers and decorate it. I also use some book pages to punch flowers and decorate with that. The envelope itself I made from a, let me find it. I found this piece on Pinterest. It's a free printable ephemera page, and then I printed it on A3 paper, so it's really large. It's 11 and a half and more, 15 inches I think in total here. And then I cut it out, and then I folded it, and if you can see here, I stitched the sides, not all the way up, because then I made a closing flap, so to say. Excuse me. I glued on a piece of Velcro so that it could hold close. And then I decorated the back side as well with several kinds of ephemera and printables from Ephemerasvintagegarden. And on this side of the envelope I held the colors in green, as you can see here. And then I cut out some of the words from the different kind of printables. Let me show you. All the papers that Debbie Ann designs, she titles them, and I just think this font is really vintage, cute, and then I use them in my projects. So I also had this broderie anglaise that I used on this side. I cut out several punches, scallop punch, some flower punches here. I have a little ticket and other ephemera here, a scrap of some fat quarter, patchwork fabric, and a few buttons. On the inside I made a cute little I'm not really sure how I would call this, because it has only 3 pages, or would you call it a flip book? Maybe maybe just a tag journal. I made it from coffee stained, hold on, I made it from coffee stained baking paper, and some construction paper for sewing. So these are pages. So what I did, let me just take this. Sorry, you guys. So what I did is I cut out a piece that was this size, and then I covered it with baking paper, and then I stitched. Let me remove these, then you can see them. Then you can see how I stitched throughout all around the edge, and then I made pockets by folding up the baking paper like this, and then I just sewed pockets like this, and then I decorated it by cutting out a label. Use that as a template on two pieces of paper here, and then I decorated it with several scraps. On the other side, I also decorated it with a few papers and scraps. I made this ruffle. It's paper. It feels a little bit elastic and it's ruffled, but I'm not sure how to call it. I just know that I bought it from a shop that was going to close. So and then I just ruffled it like this, and then sewed it on here, and then I covered the stitches with a piece of lace ribbon, some burlap, and a button. And for the other pages here, I did some fussy cutting, and I used this. It's called Sewing Room Chic, and they're just these gorgeous journal cards or ephemera that Debbie Ann collaged here, and I just thought they were so wonderful. So I did some fussy cutting here, cut out some butterflies, and these items, the scissors, and then I used several other ephemeras that Debbie Ann made. And for these cuties, the tabs, I used some of the vintage ladies from this printable. Oh, sorry, upside down, from the summer garden, and I am just loving these vintage ladies and the bird cages. Love them, love. So they were my background. On the other side, I I used some pages from the construction book and then covered it with baking paper again. These tabs here is from I just had it here a minute ago. Where did I put it? I think I have it here. The Love is Chic printable tabs. These. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm shaking the camera too. So, I printed them on A3 paper as well, so to get these larger tabs. So they just fitted on these cards, so I thought they were matching the colors and the theme so well, so that's how I used them. And then I cut out some labels from other papers to kind of tie it together. The sewing room chic, pretty sweet. So did some more fussy cutting, doodling, layer upon layer. The other side, I cut out some labels from some coffee stained lined paper, some more fussy cutting, and then I used some tags, shipping tags that I coffee dyed. These kind of tags that I coffee dyed. Used some twine, and this is actually from a blouse, a shirt that I bought. It's recycled, that's what I want to say. So I think this project came out pretty sweet. And on the middle tab I did this boot fussy cut, because when you see here, you see when you print them in several sizes, then you can do really funny things with ephemera or vintage images like this. You can use them as they are, but you can also fussy cut images and then use them in projects like this. Be your own kind of beautiful. And again, did some fussy cutting, cut out one of the birds from the summer garden printable. I think, no, I didn't do that. I have this bird from somewhere. It's Ephemerasvintagegarden printable as well. Right now I just can't remember where I have it from. So, but I think you get the idea how I did this. Then the bird cage and this from the sewing room, so chic. So fussy cutted out this beautiful vintage lady, did some more doodling flowers. I'm really satisfied with how it turned out, and yeah, I just think it's kind of cute. You can tuck this in a vintage journal, or you can just keep it as it is. You can tuck more stuff in these pockets, and I just like the sound. It really just crunchy, this baking paper, and I just love it as it is. So the inside, how I decorated the back of this is just plain white, but I always recycle tissue paper from all kinds of, when you buy lingerie or you get flowers, they're always in different kinds of tissue paper, and so I used some of this, if you see here, and then a piece of baking paper on the back, and then the tissue paper on top, and then I simply glued it on. Maybe you can see it here. So it has a really nice feel, and nobody can tell that it's not a real envelope. And I think it came out nicely. So that's just an idea for you. It's so easy to make something look really vintage, kind of like, with a few vintage items and a little imagination. So I hope I inspired you with this cute little project, and I'll see you back soon. Bye!